Hello, today is Friday, March 24th, 2023. Today was my company's payday. Usually it is every 25th of each month, but since it is a Saturday tomorrow Saturday, my company paid us all one day earlier, which was sweet and good. So I am relieved. I am happy for today, and I had a nice dinner, and I am back home now. Before I hit the sack, I would like to read some article about cocoa, cacao, cocoa or chocolate, and everything about the what we can get from the cocoa trees. Recently, I visited a chocolate cafe, chocolate/cafe. I don't know, a chocolate bar, just right in front of my company's building. And the owner, the female owner, explained briefly about how cocoa trees are farmed in the tropical regions. And also, I found out Vietnam, Cambodia, Burma, India, Thailand also grow cocoa trees. So she said it's a booming business, and still there's some sizable markets for Korea. So she advised me to get into the business when I retire from my company KT, the number one carrier in the world. So I am quite nudged and interested in looking into this matter. So I'm going to read this article. So it's a dual-pronged approach. I would like to pick up some knowledge from this interesting article, and also I would like to practice English by reading it. Yes, I am pure Korean. I never lived in America or Canada or in English speaking countries before. So it's a purely academic effort on my part to learn and practice English by reading each article, an English article each day. So here I am. This article is from Hotel Chocolat. I think it's chocolate, but in France they pronounce it chocolat. So Hotel Chocolat. So here we go. This one is blog about food plus drink, and the title is Complete Guide to Cocoa Beans and the Cocoa Tree. So obviously it was written in Europe because the date nomenclature is 3 June 2020. So it's June 3rd, 2020. And the subject matter is food plus drink. The cocoa bean is widely known for its role in chocolate making, but how much do you really know about the plant itself? Basically none, except that the trees are grown in the tropical region. Not in Korea. In Korea, summertime, very hot, humid, so it's good for cocoa trees. But in winter, it's damn cold, damp. So even the Russians from Siberia, they really have to wear thick clothes, and they complain about the coldness in Korea. So it's not an optimal place for the trees to grow. The cocoa bean is the cocoa plant known also as Theobroma cacao, or food of the gods, really, is famous for its role in the creation of chocolate. So food of the gods, food of the gods. But there's so much more to know about the cocoa plant and the different uses for the cocoa bean. Read on to find out about its fascinating history, the different types of cocoa plant, and the bizarre uses of the cocoa bean you'd never have guessed. Where do cocoa beans come from? Where do they grow today? Different types of cocoa bean. What is raw cocoa? What can you use cocoa beans for apart from chocolate? Where do cocoa beans come from? The cocoa tree is native to the Amazon basin in South America, with evidence suggesting that cocoa was first domesticated here before being farmed in Central America. Now, the cocoa tree is cultivated in many different countries all over the world as long as it meets the ideal conditions for the plant. As long as it meets the ideal conditions for the plant. What are the conditions it grows best in? To prosper, the cocoa tree requires a minimum temperature of 68 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees Celsius and a maximum heat of 90 degrees Celsius. That's damn hot. A substantial amount of rainfall is also needed, around 1,250 millimeters to 3,000 millimeters a year, with a dry period lasting no longer than 3 months. With the right conditions, each cocoa pod will contain around 20 to 30 seeds embedded in a sweet pulp. These seeds are the cocoa beans. For just 500 grams of cocoa beans, it takes a whole year's crop. And as the pods don't ripen at the same time, the trees need to be constantly monitored. They don't ripe at the same time. Okay, sweet pulp, sweet pulp. Let me pick my ears because I feel itchy there. Yep, so there's ear, what you call ear dust or ear, I don't know, secretion or some stuff, white stuff from the ears. With the right conditions, each cocoa, okay, so 500 grams of cocoa, that's a lot, I guess. After being harvested, the ripe pods are cut open and the seeds or beans are removed. Okay, the cocoa beans are then fermented, dried, cleaned, and packed into cocoa sacks ready to be sold. Once sold, the beans are processed to create the much-loved chocolate product. So we have pods, then sweet pulp, and seeds. Seeds are the beans. Where does it grow today? Nowadays, the cocoa tree grows in regions all over the world. The Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Ghana are the top producers of cacao or cocoa, cacao. 70% of the world's cocoa beans come from these West African countries. However, countries such as Indonesia, Peru, Venezuela, and many countries in Central America and the Caribbean also grow the bean. At Hotel Chocolat, we source our cocoa beans from all around the world, from cultivating cocoa trees grown on the highest coastal mountain range in Colombia to the cacao cocoa district in Ghana. We've searched far and wide. 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 We've searched far and wide to not only find the best tasting cocoa beans full with nuanced, deep flavors, but we've also committed to an engaged ethics program. We've searched far and wide. We've searched far and wide By growing our cocoa in an ethical community where the farmers can profit and learn from growing our beans, we've managed to help countless communities prosper. Indeed, on our St. Lucia farm, we've guaranteed to buy farmers' cacao harvests at a rate higher than the market value. In Ghana, we've set up a young farmers scheme, a medical center, a clean water project, and more. What are the different types of cocoa bean? So they are colorful, they are pods. The standard consensus among chocolate producers is that there are 3 different breeds of Theobroma cacao or cocoa tree. In fact, there are over 10 varieties of cacao, but we are going to first look at the main 3, all of which thrive in an equatorial region with an altitude of up to 600 meters above sea level. With an altitude of up to 600 meters above sea level, equatorial region. So there are 10 varieties, but there are major 3. Criollo in Spanish means native to a region, and these are the original cocoa plants that first grew in the Amazon basin. The cocoa from these trees are generally considered to be of the highest quality, and the cocoa they produce is described as a fine and aromatic, with less of classic chocolate flavor, but rich in secondary flavor, notes, and aroma. Classic chocolate flavor, but rich in secondary flavor, notes, and aroma. Rich in secondary flavor, notes, and aroma. Rich in secondary flavor, notes, and aroma. Rich in secondary flavor and flavor, notes, and aroma. However, these plants only make up between 1 to 2% of the world's production of cocoa. They grow natively in Central and South America, but they have a low yield and are very sensitive to diseases and pests, which is bad, which means they are not an ideal crop for large-scale cocoa production. They are very sensitive to diseases and pests. Forastero, unlike a Criollo, Forastero is a hardy breed that is favored for large-scale cocoa production because of its high yield and resistance to disease. Forastero means stranger, foreigner in Spanish. Forastero, as the Spanish colonists thought the Criollo variety was native and all other cocoa plants were foreign in comparison. Forastero trees were first seen in the Bahia region of Brazil. First seen, making up the bulk of the world cocoa production. It produces a standard quality of cocoa bean that is often mixed with superior cocoa beans. What do you mean superior cocoa beans and standard quality of cocoa? The bulk of world cocoa production. Making up the bulk of world cocoa production. Trinitario is a natural hybrid of Forastero and Criollo. The story goes that the Trinitario tree came into existence on the island of Trinidad after a hurricane almost completely destroyed the Criollo crops in 1727. Assuming all Criollo crops were dead, Forastero was planted in its place, but a spontaneous hybrid began growing. This might be why Trinitario cocoa trees have the best of both previous varieties. The tree is hardier than Criollo but produces cocoa beans with a deeper and more complex flavor than Forastero. Now grown across the world, Trinitario makes up around 5% of world production. Trinitario makes up around 5% of world production. Forastero makes up the bulk of the world cocoa production. Are there really only 3 types of cocoa tree? The short answer is no. For each of the main varieties just mentioned, there are various sub-varieties as well, which can have very different qualities. For example, the Forastero variety of cocoa trees in Ecuador are known as Nacional or Arriba Forastero, High Forastero, which are of a much higher quality than normal Forastero. In Cameroon, cocoa from the Trinitaria tree is considered an ordinary or bulk cacao rather than a high-quality one. This is because of the oversimplification of the use of Criollo native and Forastero stranger. Criollo means native to your land, whereas Forastero means from somewhere else, which would result in different plants being called different things depending on where you live. The first non-Spanish speaking agronomists realized this issue early on, but as the two words were in common usage, carried on referring to them as such. Although confusing, we normally use the shape and size of the cocoa pods to help us choose the type of tree. Criollo is long and yellow. Forastero is rounder and redder, and Trinitario can vary between the two. Criollo is long and yellow. Forastero is rounder, and redder. Rounder and redder words are the ones that I think I've never come across before, or I really seldomly come across so far. So rounder and redder. Can you eat a raw cocoa bean? Of course, I guess. If you should ever be so lucky to stumble across a cocoa tree, Criollo, Forastero, or Trinitario, and find a ripe cocoa pod, cracking its shell and consuming its seeds might not be the best idea. What the? Cocoa beans in their purest form are incredibly crunchy and exceedingly bitter. If you are searching for an authentic chocolate taste, we suggest you look elsewhere for your cocoa fix. You look elsewhere for your cocoa fix. If you are searching for an authentic chocolate taste, we suggest you look elsewhere for your cocoa fix. We suggest you look elsewhere for your cocoa fix. That being said, usually they say that said, with that said, that being said, feel free to try the pulp encasing the cocoa bean. This milky white substance varies widely in tastes, from tart and acidic to sweet and tropical. Just like a persimmon is tart, from tart and acidic So tart is adjective, it's not a noun. From tart and acidic, to sweet and tropical. So whilst a raw cocoa bean might not have the nice flavor, its fruit can actually be quite pleasant. So bean, the seed is a hardy, bitter, extremely bitter, excruciatingly bitter, incredibly crunchy, but exceedingly bitter. But the pulp can vary depending on the time of the harvest. So the pulp, the fruit can be from tart and acidic, or from sweet and tropical. What exactly is raw cocoa? The term raw suggests that to earn this title, a cocoa bean must be uncooked. The contemporary raw food movement classes foods as raw if they haven't been heated above 48 degrees Celsius. However, it is nearly impossible to keep below these temperatures when treating the cocoa bean. To make traditional chocolate, cocoa beans are fermented, dried, roasted, and pressed and ground. The process is almost the same for raw cocoa beans, but the key distinction is that the beans skip the roasting phase. The beans skip the roasting phase. During the grinding process, however, friction is created, meaning higher temperatures are a natural part of the process. If cocoa was kept below this limit, the high levels of tannins in cocoa wouldn't be able to break down, resulting in an unpalatable product. Tannins, tart. Tannins give the taste of tartness. Tart. Unbreakable. This means that whilst raw cocoa is exposed to the high temperatures to that of roasted cocoa beans, some heat is involved in its production. So no processed cocoa is completely raw. What can you use cocoa beans for apart from chocolate? Cocoa beans is famous for its role in the creation of chocolate, one of the UK's favorite sweet snacks. But the cocoa shell, fruit, and bean can all be used to make so much more than chocolate, really. Cocoa beans as money. Around 1400 BC, that's a long time ago. That's about 3,423 years ago. The Mayans of central Mexico, the Mayans, were the first to start harvesting and using cocoa, but not in the way we know it today. Although they ate cocoa, they also used cocoa beans as a barter currency, exchanging it for other goods such as food, clothes, or livestock. Food, clothes, or livestock. It was prized highly by society as it was very susceptible to crop failure and grew far from Mayan cities. Anthropologist David Friedel told Science magazine, It was very susceptible to crop failure. It was very susceptible to crop failure. It was very susceptible to crop failure and grew far from Mayan cities. Cocoa beans used in rituals and for medicinal purposes. We take our current term chocolate from the Nahuatl word chocolat, which actually translates as bitter water in the Mayan language. They made a drink by crushing the cocoa beans, adding water, chili peppers, and other spices, and pouring it from one receptacle to another until a frothy foam formed on the top. It was used in rituals, and it was believed that the drink could alter the brain and open the mind to the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm, really. Used in rituals, spiritual realm. There are several realms: animal realm, spiritual realms, human realm. Both the Mayan and Aztec civilizations had cocoa festivals that involved offerings of cocoa beans and blood sacrifices to honor the cocoa god. It was also drunk at weddings and births, as well as being used for its medicinal properties. It was purported to soothe a wide range of illnesses. Aztec warriors drank chocolate before going into battle so that it would give them increased strength and courage, showing the multiple benefits they are attributed to the cocoa bean. Before going into battle, before going into battle, before going into battle, before going into battle, before going into battle. Cocoa beans for beauty. When cocoa beans are pressed, they release a fat called cocoa butter. This edible fat is also an emollient and is very good at hydrating the skin. This is why it is often used as a base for skin creams, just like it just like in our robot 1745 body butters and moisturizing lotions. So emollient, right? Emollient, hydrating the skin, hydrating the skin. We need to have our skin hydrated. Drink a lot of water. Hydrating the skin. Emollient, an emollient, ointment, emollient. Body butters, hand skin creams, moisturizing lotions, hydrating the skin. We crush up cocoa shells, coconut shells, and almond shells to use as an exfoliant in our 3-shell scrub, or use the cocoa butter as a soothing moisturizer in our cocoa and aloe hand wash. Aloe hand wash. Exfoliant. I need to look it up. Exfoliant. Let's see exfoliant. What the exfoliant is. I've come across this word before when I bought moisturizing creams or skin creams, but I've never explored it properly. Exfoliant, man. Cosmetic used for exfoliating the skin. Cosmetic used for exfoliating dead skin cells. Just as I expected. X means outside, off, cut off. Foliage means leaves, skin, coverings. Exfoliation is the removal of dead skin cells and built up dirt from the skin's surface. The term comes from the Latin word exfoliare, to strip off leaves. Exactly, this is a regular practice within the cosmetic industry, both for its outcome of promoting skin regeneration as well as providing a deep cleanse of the skin barrier. Exfoliant.
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 How about this one, man? Then emollient.
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 Emollient. Emollient.
Emollient. Emollient. Emollient. Emollient.
Emollient.
Emollient.
Emollient.
Emollient.
Emollient.
Soothing, softening to the skin, soothing cream, lotion, salve for the skin, salve, something that makes soft or smooth. Emollient, 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 exfoliant, totally different. For a homemade solution, mix cocoa powder with yogurt for a face mask. Leave it on for 15 minutes. Cocoa powder has caffeine, which can make your skin firmer and tauter, rounder and redder, tauter, and its inflammatory properties can help to soothe puffy skin. Exfoliant, puffy skin. Inflammatory properties can help. I think anti-inflammatory properties should be the word. Its anti-inflammatory properties can help to soothe puffy skin. Cocoa beans in drinks. Cocoa beans can be roasted and crushed up into cocoa nibs, which you can use to make cocoa tea, a healthier and more aromatic drink than decadent hot chocolate. When you crack open a cacao pod, each bean is surrounded by sweet, tart white fruit. According to the International Cocoa Organization, this is often referred to as cocoa pulp and can be collected and bottled to make a juice. If you boil and ferment the juice, it can even be made into brandy. Whoa! Really? Rum is made from what? Rum is made from coconut. Coconut, right? Coconut. Brandy. Brandy is diluted. The brandy is made from fruit fermentation, like grapes, mulberries. So we can also make a brandy out of cocoa. Cocoa shells for agriculture and farming. Cocoa shells are often seen as a waste product of the chocolate making process, but in fact, they can be dried and used in various different ways. As they have nutrients within them, they are an effective mulch and soil conditioner to help grow plants. Mulch and soil conditioner. If the husk is sliced, dried, and minced, it can be pressed into pellets and sold as animal feed for poultry and pigs, meaning no part of the cacao tree goes to waste. Cacao tree goes to waste. No part of the cacao tree goes to waste. No part of cacao tree goes to waste. Pellets, pressed, sliced, dried, and minced. At Hotel Chocolat, we take some of the byproducts from making our chocolate on our St. Lucia farm and use them our beauty products, making the most of the cocoa beans' beneficial properties. This forms part of our engaged ethics program, where we try to be as sustainable as possible wherever and however we can. The cocoa plant is the starting point of any great chocolate. And for us at Hotel Chocolat, understanding where it comes from and how it grows is paramount to developing the best chocolate we can. Paramount is paramount to developing. That's why, 여진 왔어? That's why we will find us creating That's why you will find us creating revolutionary new mixes like the super milk chocolate or highlighting the nuanced tastes of individual strains of cocoa bean with our single origin chocolate food drink, cocoa bean, cocoa history, cocoa origin, cocoa plant, related posts, and some photos. V.me. Stay connected, luxury chocolate gifts. Okay, so some advertisement. So we learned several words such as exfoliant, emollient, soothing, self, exfoliation, self, ointment, emollient, puffy skin, anti-inflammatory properties help prevent puffy skin or soothe puffy skin. What else? No part of the cacao tree goes to waste. That being said, cocoa tree, cacao tree, forastero, Criollo, Trinidad, something like that. World bulk production making up 5% varieties, 10 varieties, but 3 are major. Tart, tannins. Tart, from tart to acidic, from sweet to crunchy, crunch, pulp, exceedingly bitter, incredibly crunchy. We recommend the pulp, unpleasant aroma, rich in second flavor notes and aroma, rich in secondary flavor notes and aroma, rich in secondary flavor notes and aroma. Flavors, cacao trees grown subtropical, the Amazon basin. Hello, complete guide to cocoa beans. Now let me go over and see if I can pick up more words that I learned from this beautiful article, Hotel Chocolat. The minimum temperatures of 60 degrees Celsius and 70 degrees Celsius, that's a lot, humid, 500 grams pressed, sliced, dried, minced, making into pellets for animal feeds at Hotel Chocolat. Ghana, engaged ethics program, farmers. St. Lucia, we pay better price. What else? Equatorial region. In an equatorial region, yet rich in secondary flavor notes and aroma, high quality. Central America, Criollo, Forastero, Spanish stranger, Forastero, Bahia region of Brazil, the bulk of world cocoa production, making up the bulk of the world cocoa production. Trinitario, the best of the both previous varieties, hardier, yet rounder and redder, And what else? Harder, hardier, 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 rounder, redder, tartier. Mentioned before, different qualities, native, oversimplification, creech, criollo, round and long, seed, cocoa, pod, a pulp, and bean, 3 parts. We suggest you look elsewhere for your cocoa fix. We suggest you look elsewhere for your cocoa fix. We suggest you look elsewhere for your cocoa fix. We suggest you look elsewhere for your cocoa fix. That being said, from tart to acidic to sweet and tropical. Raw cocoa bean. Raw, roasting face. Higher, breakdown, tannins. Tannins in cocoa wouldn't be able to break down. Unpalatable product, resulting in an unpalatable product. Tannins in cocoa wouldn't be able to break down, resulting in an unpalatable product. Emollient, processed cocoa, raw, chocolate. What else I learned? Susceptible to crop failure. Susceptible to crop failure. Used in rituals, right? Cocoa god, Aztec. Absurd, man. Body butters, hand cream, skin creams, emollient, moisturizing, soothing, aloe, hand wash, cocoa nips, cocoa tea, international, aloe, super milk, chocolate. Let's find out the exact pronunciation of aloe. I forgot.
Aloe.
Exactly. Aloe, man. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for listening. I'll read another article, but in the meanwhile, take care and have fun. This one is from Hotel Chocolate. Whether you are looking for boxed chocolates, luxury gifts, or giant chocolate slabs for birthdays, anniversaries, and celebrations, or even apologies, you will find it here. Chocolate slabs. Our chocolate is delivered next day or click and collect. Original, authentic, ethical programs. Our 3 guiding principles have taken us to over 150 chocolate shops, cafes, restaurants, and even a cocoa estate hotel. Shop for luxury chocolate gifts. Excellent, as rated on Trustpilot. So this company, Mint House, New York Close, Royston, SG85HL, United Kingdom. So I think they are based in London. Thanks for your contribution. I really appreciate it, and I learned a lot from your article. And I successfully practiced my pronunciation. Thank you all, and take care, everybody.